Wow. So that is probably one of the worst takes I've seen in a long time about video games. And of course it's EA, and they're the ones that have it. Now, this tweet, I mean, the fact that they even tweeted it in the first place, I don't know if the social media manager is to blame for this. They thought it would be funny. I don't know if they're just looking for more impressions and interaction and engagement with their tweets. I don't know if he's trying to hit some sort of goal, but I don't think this is the goal that he meant for. Of course, please do hit that like button and subscribe. You're watching FANTAVISION, and today we're talking about EA's tweet where they are joining in on that trend where it's they're a 10 but blank. And normally it's about something either, not that big of a deal or it's a bad thing. It's always something in a negative light. They're a 10, but there's something wrong with them. And in their case, they think something is wrong with you if you like single-player games. They tweeted, they're a 10, but they only like playing single-player games. This is coming from a company who is notorious for how much they make in microtransactions, notorious with how they treat their player base, notorious for how 12 years ago even, they said single-player games are dead. This is the same company that keeps saying stupid thing after stupid thing. And the ironic thing about this, and a lot of people are pointing it out underneath the tweet, is the fact that EA's multiplayer games aren't even very good. I mean, the last Battlefield game they came out with tanked. Battlefront 2, you remember that dumpster fire before they finally fixed it? Battlefront 1, you remember how most of the game was locked behind a $60 season pass? You remember how good Medal of Honor did with competing with Call of Duty? For a studio who really doesn't have that many good multiplayer games, it is shocking that they would shit on single player games, considering the single player games that EA has published are some of the best. In fact, some of their most recent titles that are single player only are phenomenal, like Jedi Fallen Order, and of course the Mass Effect trilogy. You could argue Mass Effect 3 has multiplayer in it, but it's just a frickin' horde mode. It doesn't count. That's not real multiplayer. Titanfall 1 did okay. That was only multiplayer. But then Titanfall 2, people love that way more. I know it still didn't do great because Battlefield 1 came out the same day because they hate their own developers apparently, and they hate the companies that they own. But there you go. That was more their fault for that game failing than the fact that it had a single player. And I know so many people and there's a whole community online that are constantly championing that game, saying, hey, the single player game is also phenomenal and worth playing. In fact, the head of Respawn Entertainment, once again a company owned by EA, and once again that company that kind of got screwed over when it came to the release of Titanfall 2, just tweeted out a facepalm emoji to this tweet. Their own company reacting to their parent company in this way is so funny, especially because it's the head of that company. And the thing is they're not going to do anything to him. They're not going to try to yell at him for this reaction. They can't do anything to this guy because his company, Respawn Entertainment, is really the only thing that EA has that is actually producing anything of value. Well, let's talk about some other wonderful multiplayer games that EA came out with. You remember Anthem? Yeah, me neither. Remember Battlefield 5? That didn't do very well either. It seems that multiplayer really isn't their bread and butter and that they should just stick to single player games as much as they hate doing that. Because again, the main reason this company and so many other companies out there have tried to kill single-player games and constantly force you into some sort of online interactivity isn't because they want you playing with other people, making new friends, having fun and genuine experiences with other people. No, they don't give a shit about that. They want you to see other person wearing neat-looking armor and you wanting that armor so you spend money. That's all they want. They want, basically, look at Diablo Immortal. And that's how the games industry would love for every single video game to be. 3 monthly subscriptions, tons of microtransactions, loot boxes out the ass. That's EA for you. And again, if you think about another game that makes them the most money, what is it? It's a multiplayer game. And that is, I don't even know if you're going to guess it, FIFA. That's right. those wonderful loot box filled games, but that's it. No other multiplayer game they've made is really that successful or makes them that much money. I mean, I guess you could say Apex, but again, they published that, and Respawn Entertainment, the guy that is facepalming to this tweet, their company's the one that made the only successful multiplayer game for like what, the past decade? When was the last good multiplayer game that EA came out with? Was it Battlefield 1? And even then, Battlefield 1 still had a plethora of issues and problems with it. So, I mean, even that one never even came close to defeating the Goliath that is Call of Duty in the multiplayer verse. I mean, if any company were to say this, and I wouldn't really be able to say much about, would be Activision Blizzard, because that is the core of their company. Call of Duty, mainly a multiplayer game. I mean, Warzone is only a multiplayer game. World of Warcraft, only a multiplayer game. Overwatch, only a multiplayer game. Hearthstone, only a multiplayer game. All of these different games that are not only multiplayer, but also incredibly successful, and is, in fact, almost 100% of how they make their money. So the fact that EA is saying this is the most ironic, considering the only successful multiplayer game they've had is either made by a different company or is a sports game that is making all of its money, not because it's a good game, but because people are locked into this loot box culture and trying to basically pay their way to victory against other people online. Has nothing to do with the game being good or anything like that. And again, this is the company that killed the other Star Wars game that was going to be this open world bounty hunter type game. And it was going to be, I mean, it looked phenomenal from what we saw. Some of the footage that leaked, it looked great, and I could not wait to play it. That darker tone that it was going to have, and the way that you could interact with the world, how they described it, and the fact that you're a bounty hunter, it would have been amazing. But of course they canceled it because it was a single player game and they couldn't figure out a way to monetize it, even though they could just look at Ubisoft and I guess copy them, because they're making a ton of money off of single player games, and they've loaded them with microtransactions. It's like EA is looking around and not really understanding anything. They're the most out of touch company by far. It doesn't seem like they know how to make video games, and yet they're only successful almost by accident. EA has been resting on its laurels for so long that all of the games that made it good have kind of fallen off and died. I mean, think about it. What are the main game franchises that EA has come out with that really kept the company afloat and made it the big company it is today? The sports games. They're not even putting in effort anymore. They're getting worse and worse and worse. The scores are going down. Battlefield, oh my god, 2042, come on, that was a train wreck. And again, they tried to get rid of the single player. How'd that play out? Not very well. I mean, Battlefield 5, we even say Battlefield 5, just Battlefield as a franchise is dead. So their sports games are dying, their Battlefield franchise is in the gutter, they've discontinued Titanfall for some reason, Mass Effect, yeah, Andromeda kind of killed that franchise. Almost every big EA IP is dead or gone. And that's kind of sad. It's basically Respawn Entertainment putting the entire company on its back and just... They're seriously holding up that company. There's seriously nothing that EA is creating that I'm excited for. They're basically only Respawn Entertainment games I'm excited for. I would love for Respawn to split off from EA, but unfortunately we know that EA would rather kill these companies than let them succeed on their own. So there you go. There is EA's horrible, horrible attempt to join in on a trend by then putting out a hot take that zero people agree with, at least that have a brain. I mean, the number of people that are dunking on them right now, it's absurd, and it's deserved. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you're one of those people that tweeted it out, let me know what your tweet was. Of course, like the video if you guys liked it, subscribe for more content, and as always, have a fantastic day. See you, everybody.